Our guest tonight was on the first season of this show and quickly became a fan favorite. He's a columnist who combines sports and politics from the nation and Grantland. Give it up for Dave Zirin, everybody. Dave Zirin!
It's all good, man. Wait, before we start, a little bit of housekeeping, okay? I have a daughter. Kamau has a daughter. Got a gift for Kamau's 2-year-old daughter. It's something I gave my own daughter. I'm sorry, you know, the pink, they didn't have a lot of choices for girls' gloves, so sorry about the color coding on the gender.
She loves pink, it's cool.
Okay,
yeah.
But I do have to say, every little girl needs to know how to kick a little boy's ass, so I got it. And my daughter just stuck a bunch of Dora the Explorer stickers on hers, so that might happen too.
Oh yeah, that's definitely going to happen. That's definitely.
Yeah.
Yes, I would prefer her punches to be softer, so this is good. This is good.
That's awesome.
Thank you, yes. Well, I'm glad you're here, man. It was great to have you on the show last year. It's great to have you back. You do this thing where you combine sports and politics. A lot of people don't realize how political sports is.
Oh, no doubt.
So I know you have a lot of thoughts about the Olympics coming up in Russia with all the homophobic policies in Russia.
Oh, yeah. And who doesn't love a good luge? So I'd love to discuss that.
Do you think we should boycott the Olympics?
Look, the question, should we boycott the Olympics? Should athletes go and protest? The first thing we all have to agree upon is that this is not a moment where athletes can just go there and shut up and play. I mean, the degree to which that Putin and Russia are criminalizing the lives of the LGBT community in Russia, people have to stand up and people have to do something about this.
Absolutely.
Seriously. But the question about what do you do? Do you stay home? Do you go and protest and risk arrest? Yeah. Which is really what the stakes would be if athletes go there and protest. That's the live question, and I don't know the answer to that, so I called someone who I thought might. 1968 Olympian John Carlos, one of the 2 people who raised their fist on the medal stand.
He invented this.
He invented this, yeah. And, you know, John describes that moment so clearly when he raised his fist. He said the stadium got so quiet you could have heard a frog piss on cotton. And so I said to John, I said, what should people do? Should they stay home? Should they go there and raise some hell? And he said, look, I went over there in 1968 and raised hell. One of my brothers back home who was on those Olympics, who was going to go to those Olympics, decided to stay home. That person who stayed home, you might have heard of him. His name then was Lou Alcindor, later became Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Oh. Who remembers that Kareem stayed home in 1968 in protest of racism and in protest for greater civil rights in this world? And he said, look, if you stay home, no one will hear what you have to say. Is there risk in going over there and saying something? This is what he said to me. He said, yeah, there's risk, but you know what? There's also risk in being silent.
That's true. That's true. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, you are from D.C., so you must have opinion. There was protests in D.C. recently about the Washington Redskins name being the Redskins. I don't think I have to spell that out. Do you think the protest made a difference?
Oh, it makes a difference because it raises the issue and puts Native American voices front and center. Look, I hate when I read media reports that say some people find the name offensive. Yeah, some people like Webster's dictionary. This is not, it's in the dictionary. It's an offensive word. And the worst thing is that there was just an article on ESPN's website by Rick Riley, which might be the stupidest thing ever written in the history of, since movable type. The worst thing ever written. And he's saying, wait a minute, aren't we just going to get offended by everything now? I mean, doesn't New Orleans Saints offend atheists? Doesn't Washington Wizards offend pagans? You know, and I'm going to quote you to you right now.
All right.
This is something that I heard you say. He said, look, if Howard Zinn didn't write about you, then you're not going to get offended, okay?
That was a good one. That was a good one.
Yes. And it's true. And it's like, you can't say, oh, well, what about pagans? What about saints? You know, doesn't San Francisco 49ers offend crusty old prospectors searching for gold? You know, but it's like, no, get all that out of there because this thing happened called history. And I know in this country we treat history the way a baby treats a diaper, but that doesn't change. That doesn't change the fact that history actually happened. And right now, like I said, 0.8% of the country is Native American. I don't want to shock anybody, but in 1491 it was 100%.
Yes. You're not shocking this audience.
That's the problem.
So
change the damn name.
Yes. So in response to that, we on our staff thought we could come up with some new names for the Washington Redskins. So we have some right over here. Yeah, we'll look at ours, see what you think about ours.
Okay, cool.
The first one is the Washington Corruptioneers.
Nice.
You know, it sort of still has like a team feel, you know, sounds fun. The next one is the Washington Not Racist, seriously. So it sounds fun. The last one is the Washington, hey, remember when DC had that mayor that was busted for smoking cracks? I mean, if we're going to remember bad things, that's, you know, cool. That's a good one. Yeah.
That's cool.
What's yours?
Well, this is mine. I mean, Washington, there's Washington and then there's D.C., if you've ever been there. And D.C. has an amazing history. And so why not draw on that history? So many great musicians come out of D.C. So why not call it the Washington Dukes after Duke Ellington?
Oh, yeah, yes.
I mean, we call the Washington Gays after Marvin Gaye. Maybe we're not there. We're getting there.
Maybe make sure they capitalize that E real big just to make sure people knew.
No, first Putin, then the Washington Gays. We'll take it step by step.
Dave Zirin, everybody. Dave Zirin. Listen to Dave on Edge of Sports Radio on Sirius XM and iTunes. One more time, everybody.
That's awesome.
Thank you.